Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Why would any person, at any time, at any pub, think a 35-person walk-in would be just fine and dandy? Also, don't be mean to people who make your food, drinks, or cut your hair. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. So 35 people walk into a pub. Sadly, this isn't a setup for a joke. So this happened a couple years back in a pub I was working at. I worked the bar at this pub, which was pretty popular, especially on sunny days as we had a lot of outdoor seating and a pretty huge beer garden. Now, the story takes place one exceptionally hot summer Sunday. For those of you who have the joy of not being all that familiar with our tea and crumpet society, I'll enlighten you as to why this is a pain for working in a pub. Firstly, the moment the sun blesses our sodden gray land with its presence, we British come out of our thatched caves to bask in its glow like the lizard people our royal family is. This subsequently also means everyone had the exact same thought of, let's go have a pint at the pub and sit in the sun. Yay for bartending. The other noteworthy point here is that on Sunday, a roast is had. Beef, lamb, chicken, or pork with roasted potatoes, veggies, gravy, and Yorkshire pudding. All of which is wonderful, unless you have to spend 2 hours cooking it. With that out of the way, this particular Sunday, we were full, and I mean full. Bar 4 or 5 people deep, the 100-plus tables all double booked for turnover, and I found myself without a moment's respite between pouring drinks and telling people we were fully booked. During this manic rush, I spot a bit of a commotion outside and see a group of roughly 30 to 35 people, including screaming kids, walking through the courtyard, ignoring everyone and into the beer garden. Once my colleague and I had thinned down the numbers at the bar substantially, I told him I was going to walk past to see what the huge group was doing. Anyone that's worked with real-life people, of course, knows that people suck, hence why I just wanted to walk past and avoid interaction. Also, it's a pet peeve of mine when people just sit themselves down, ignoring all the staff and expecting us to accommodate them without even the courtesy of mentioning to someone that they're here. So I take a step past the threshold of the bar, always dangerous, and that day a choice I regretted, and walk through the beer garden, collecting empty glasses as I go. As I near the area, the group is settled in. As far away from the building as possible, I might add. I avoid eye contact at all costs. You're not going to come say hi? Then I can't see you. Walking past the group, I'm spotted by a very angry woman, the Alpha Karen, if you will, snapping her fingers at me, trying to get my attention. As I tried to get away, she stormed up to me and stared me dead in the face. "Excuse me, we've been waiting here for the past 15 minutes and no one has come to give us menus. What the hell are you all doing?" I'll admit I was momentarily in shock as the group had to walk through the courtyard and must have seen the crowds of people and stressed waiters everywhere. "I'm sorry, madam, but I had no idea you were here. Did you speak with anyone to let us know?" Then what I saw was a rage build just below her plasticized skin. Yes, I spoke with the redhead. No one that worked there was a redhead. "Well, anyway, I want some menus. We're starving." I looked past her and asked how many there were. "We're 36 people. That's not a problem, is it?" she said without so much as a hint of understanding why this was ridiculous. "Well, yes, actually, that's quite a lot for a walk-in, and as you probably saw on your way in, we're extremely busy. I'm afraid we have no tables available, and we don't serve food in the beer garden. You'll have to try your luck at getting a table in the courtyard, but I can't imagine you'll be able to find enough seating for the 36 of you, and I simply can't hold tables for you, turning other guests away." The reality is, I could, but simply didn't want to. She stared at me for a moment and then said, "You don't serve food in the beer garden, or you won't serve me food in the beer garden." "No, madam, the establishment does not serve food in the beer garden." "Oh, fine. Look, can we just have chips then, for the kids? They're starving." I thought about it for a moment, deciding if I was really willing to put up with this or if I should just say no and send them on their way. Against my better judgment, I said okay, but they would have to sit in the courtyard once the tables were available and asked roughly how many portions of chips they'd be wanting. She replied 6, and I said that's probably fine, but she'll have to go inside to order. This did not sit well with her, and she started to get very cross. On my way back in, I swung by the kitchen to let them know what was up and to expect 6 chip orders, but not to rush them because the woman was in enormous pain. I get back to the bar, and it's busy again, 3 to 4 people deep, so I immediately jump in and start pouring pints. A few minutes later, I hear, "Oh, for God's sake, this is ridiculous," and immediately know who it is. This tiny, angry woman pushes her way through the crowd and snaps her fingers at me to get my attention. "You, I want to order my chips, and hurry it up, the kids are hungry." "Okay, I'll put them now. 6 portions, correct?" "No, 17. Sufficient to say, I was bewildered. "Madam, that's not what we discussed. I'll have to see if the kitchen can even do that. We're very busy." "Well, go on then. Run along to the kitchen," she barked. As I was about to, I hear, "Actually, can you make it 35? "Madam, I'll be honest with you. There's no way you'll get them all at once. It's simply too many for the fryer. It'll have to be in batches, and it's going to take a while as there are more pressing orders ahead of you. You'll also need to pay up front." "I don't care. Bring them out one by one if you have to. As soon as one is ready, bring it out." Bingo. I went and spoke to the chef explaining what was going on. Rude woman, many chips, one by one. He laughed and we decided to do exactly as she asked. Bring on the malicious compliance. So despite being very, very busy, as soon as one portion of chips was ready, I took it out. One portion, only one. She was not pleased. "What the hell is this? I said 35 portions, not one." "As I explained to you inside, madam, 35 portions is simply far too many for our fryers to handle, and there is a substantial number of other orders ahead of you." I had to try very hard to hide my crap-eating grin at this point. But, what the hell do you expect me to do with this?" "Perhaps you could have 1 chip each per portion?" And I swiftly turned and walked away. Following this, every 10 to 15 minutes, I would take out one more and only one more portion of chips for the group. By about portion 12, they'd been there several hours and were fed up. They tried to complain to the manager, but she was so rude and disrespectful to myself, my manager, and other staff members that he dismissed her, stating that I had explained clearly to her that we were very busy and she herself had told me to bring them out 1 portion at a time if need be. They left very angry, and we had 23 portions of chips paid for that staff got to enjoy later on. Wow, what an epic saga. If I was in the kitchen, I'd have done the same thing, but props to you for keeping your cool enough to get creative. I would have snapped and told him to get out. And our next story. I didn't let the police or neighbors use my driveway. I bought a piece of land and had a house built on it recently. There was a gravel road, now paved, that has become my driveway. I guess before I lived there, the locals used it to get around faster. I've been told that if they can't use my driveway, it makes the travel 15 minutes longer. This started when I moved in. The stuff like the yard and surrounding area was not finished, but it was complete enough to move in. My driveway's long and can be exited or entered from 2 sides. With how the house is built for them to use my driveway as a shortcut, a lot of traffic would pass right by my house and cars every day. This isn't just people driving. People on bikes and walkers want to use it too. I simply don't want the whole town driving through my driveway every day. I realized it was a problem when I moved in and could constantly hear cars driving through all hours of the night, or voices of people talking and people walking right past the cars. I understood that the property was vacant for a while, so I put up signs saying that this is private property. You can clearly see a house there, and I'm sure they saw it being built. No change. So I put up gates that only me and my wife have access to. It doesn't deter the walkers, but I have plans for that. This caused a big fuss. I've had numerous people knock on my door asking why I put a gate up, saying they'll be late to work or school. I had a guy say I made him late to an interview. I just tell everyone that this is private property and that this house didn't just appear here. You saw it built. You saw the signs if this were a route you use daily. Apparently the police use this as a speed trap area, and I've had police ask me to open the gates. I tell them no. My wife normally is the type to let people use the driveway, but this wasn't normal. Imagine the whole town using it like a shortcut. There was so much traffic constantly. The first complaint I got before the gates were up was when I parked my car on the driveway and not on the part in front of my house because it was blocking traffic. I responded, "The traffic of my property?" I've had the cops tell me I'm obstructing their work. My direct neighbors understand, but town people are just upset that their shortcut's gone. They're pretty upset about the house being here altogether. People would park their cars all over the driveway and my property during sports events. High school football is important around here. I'm not trying to be an evil neighbor. Info edit. For those wondering, yes, I've talked to lawyers, and this is my property. I initially didn't want the 2 outlets because to me it looks odd. I only have one entrance to my driveway paved and the other one is gravel. I was just going to leave it, but now I'll just remove the outlet entirely. My land is still under construction and there will be a fence going completely around my property. If the locals wanted this road so much, then they should have had the town purchase the land and made it a public road. They didn't. Now they have to deal with it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.